Hi, me again. It is property disclosure time. I think you as a salesperson will maybe have about 4 questions. Broker, you maybe will have 5 or 6. And let's get into the outline. Property condition that may warrant inspection and surveys. I would say that this is probably the best time to know a survey is a professional outline of where the property lines are at. I think I should start with an overall theme here, not to be stumbling for you. I think that you should know several environmental issues that affect real estate. Radon, lead-based paint, carbon monoxide, asbestos, and then all the groundwater hazards that I actually listed in a previous review video. And I will go through those with you again, of course. I think the key is that as an agent, we must be aware of all of those things, and we must look for signs in the property. However, we can make no claims that a property has a certain condition without it being professionally tested. So our job isn't to quote those things. It is not to walk in and say, damp, my left knee hurts, my trick knee, asbestos. Happens every time I'm around asbestos. That's not how it works. You only know if asbestos exists in a property if you have it tested by a professional. Now, you need to know that asbestos exists. It was originally created as something that was supposed to be fire resistant. They actually found that it was actually very friable because over time, as it aged, it became like a powder. And now to get rid of it, you really need to use a process called encapsulation so that you don't inhale those fibers. Those can do terrible damage to someone's lungs. So serious. And you probably will see tiles, floor, and ceiling that you know maybe from your real estate experience have been known to carry asbestos. But without them being tested, you cannot confirm or deny it. So know the issues. Educate your client on it, but rely on the professional to actually get the test. I think that's your big overall theme to maybe navigating through some of these property condition questions on the exam. Let's go into these proposed uses or changes in uses that would trigger an inquiry about public or private land use controls. This is maybe going to be around some deed restriction, but I think it ties into these environmental issues that we really need to talk about. And I'm going to hit that GW Bush for you. And GW Bush is an acronym used to help you remember about the safety of our drinking water. It's groundwater. It's wells, burial sites, underground storage tanks, sewer and septic systems, and then hazardous waste. All of those things, if they're not done properly, can contaminate our soil and water, which eventually affects our drinking water. Okay. Another big one I've talked about, radon, which is an odorless, sightless gas. Carbon monoxide, again, odorless, sightless, often happens from our furnaces, things of that nature. We've talked about asbestos, radon, did I mention that one? The big one to tackle, I think, for the exam, though, is lead-based paint. And lead back in the day had a certain alkaline or something put into it as lead that I believe helped it hold its color. whatever. We don't use it anymore. And any property built prior to 1978 must have this disclosure. So absolutely no 1978. And if you're an existing agent, you're like, Amy, I know, but it's going to be on the exam. Prior to 1978, we've got to have these lead-based paint disclosures. The disclosure must be signed prior to the buyer writing an offer or the seller accepting it. So the lead-based paint disclosure must be made available prior to the buyer writing an offer or the seller accepting it, which means if we get a deal together on February 12th, and then I call and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot the lead-based paint. Oh my gosh, this was built in 1977. I totally forgot and thought it was 79. My bad. Can you have your I had my seller sign it this morning. Will your buyer sign it? And it's stated February 20th. We're in huge violation. And I believe the fine is $11,000 for you and your broker. I don't think that's a splitsies. Okay. Now we've talked about material facts and defect disclosure. And again, these are going to be things that you cannot see to the naked eye or that you would not know about unless the seller disclosed it. Again, you can't hear or smell radon. You don't know that there's water in the basement. You can see cracks, but that doesn't mean that it leaks. You only would know that it leaks if you were on the day that it rained on top of a rain that caused water to come in. Otherwise, the seller must disclose it. So if it's things that you can see to the naked eye, that's not really what this disclosure is about. It's things that you cannot see that we only know about if this seller disclosed it. For example, you have an attic fire because of bad electrical wiring, and you poke your head up, even the inspector, I mean, I don't go up in attics, I'd rather die, I guess. No, just kidding. You got your inspector that goes up, he's gonna see that wiring and say, everything looks in great condition, it looks like it's new, but the only reason it's there is because they had a fire. You only know that if this seller discloses it to you. So that's a key right there. Is it's got to be things that you can't see to the naked eye. Okay. Hopefully this helps with property conditions, and get ready for contracts. This is a big one.